What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we are fooling around with the 1.0 release of Fabledom. This is a game we've checked out in the past, but always in early access, and today we're actually seeing the full product. I put about 5 or 6 hours into the game last night just to kind of like develop my muscle memory and get some of my thoughts out there so that you can check out this charming little kingdom survival game. It's available down below in the description, but let's go ahead and dive on in. So what is Fabledom? Fabledom is a game much like Banished where you're going to be building a Outlands community and trying to keep them alive through various seasons and various events. There's one right there where they want me to spend like $200 to get some more commoners. Sure, why not? And look at that, it took us over a milestone. And so it looks like we've actually got access to a marketplace and some other fun things to play around with. But if you've ever played anything like Banished, this game is going to be very similar. The entire game is wrapped up in a very charming aesthetic. I've been very impressed by all of the animation design and the voice acting and just the graphics of the game entirely. If you're looking for a Banished-style game, this is not a bad one. It's a little tiny bit shallow, like I'm about 6 hours in, and I think I'm starting to get towards the end of some of the tech trees. But the game just oozes charm. Like, it's a game that begs you to play it and really wants you to love it. And along the way, while you're building up your city, there are going to be other things that you need to interact with. So, for example, we've got a world map with diplomacy that runs around. You can get married to other lords and things of that nature. I haven't really gotten into all that yet. I'm at the point where I can sort of do that, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm sort of a fastidious person when I play games like this. I like to have all of my ducks in a row in order to guarantee that I'm not going to like overtask my food crop or anything else like that along the way. So what's going on inside my city right now? Well, at its core, this is a game that is comprised of different social classes. So you've got like unwashed dirty peasants that have dirt behind their ears, you have commoners, and you have nobles. Different people can do different jobs. They are locked off from doing certain jobs, and you're trying to keep that all copacetic so that things don't fall apart. So as you can see up here, this is where a lot of my commoners are living. And then we've got like taverns and things of that nature that are spread around in cafes that make everybody a little bit happier because they get buffs based on how happy you are. At its core, this is a pretty chill, laid-back game. Thus far, there have not been any catastrophic consequences for me failing to follow through or finish off quests or anything else like that.
I heard of fablings that
Oh, apparently. Oh, that's what I was doing. I was setting up my military. There is combat in this game, by the way. I haven't done any of it yet, except on a very small scale. So, like, monsters invaded, and I had to fight them with my hero over here who levels up and gets different equipment along the way. But as I was saying, this is where our peasants are living at. We have various services like inns and taverns and cafes and things of that nature that make everybody happy. We've got like a little theater troupe over here who's performing. God only knows. I don't know exactly what it's probably the bard, all right? It's probably the bard that they're performing on over there. We do have a big catch. I saw an enormous creature in the water. Maybe if we try extra hard, we can get lucky and we can catch it. We're not quite sure what to do with it after that, but let's not dwell on the future too much. Okay, yeah, I just got to gather 50 fish. I could probably pull that off. I do have a very well-developed fishing industry down here that's bringing in food and other sundries to keep people happy. So hopefully it works out. But we've got things that make people happy over here. Their satisfaction makes them more efficient. I've found that if you really torpedo the happiness, it only hurts their efficiency by like 10%. It's not really that big of a deal. I've got a hospital over here. You can see patients checking on in because they do get ill and they do actively die. While the game is wrapped up in a very clean, sort of cutesy aesthetic, your characters are capable of dying throughout the course of the game, and so that's what the hospital's there for. Each of these little developments over here has things that they want, things that they desire. You do have a lot of decoration going on that you can play around with inside of this game. This is the beauty menu. People desire to live in beautiful places, and if they live in beautiful places, their happiness goes up, and then they become more effective at their work. Over here, you can see this is a townhouse. This is where our commoners are living. You can actually put decorations inside these areas, too, when you build them large enough. Don't forget to do that. There's lots of empty plots and things inside all of your houses so that when you have a little bit of dead time, and actually there's gonna be a lot of dead time inside of this game just due to the fact that it plays very slowly, you should be decorating and adding things to people's backyards. You should be adding trees and courtyards and statues and beautiful things to the interior areas so that people have their happiness maxed out and they don't have problems as time goes along. As far as industry goes, I've got all of my industry kind of set up down in this area and also a little bit of it over in this area. You will need to be taking in wood and converting that into boards and converting it into coal, and then the coal and the metal gets converted into, like, the blacksmith over here is banging out armaments. You have to have armaments in order to train soldiers. I haven't gotten any wars yet. Most of my neighbors actually seem like pretty nice people. They don't really seem to have that many problems with me. I have one guy along my eastern front right here in Votara that I'm a little tiny bit worried about. Like, I can send an emissary to go talk to him, but this guy right here seems like he's all into war and suffering and all that kind of stuff, but everybody else seems to mostly be friendly around here. There's warrior peoples, there's crafting peoples, there's industrial peoples, there's people that are focused entirely on cultural victories and things of that nature. You will interact with them as time goes along, although really they don't impede upon your gameplay experience at all from what I've seen so far. Like, they haven't really hit me up. They basically interact with you when you interact with them. The game does have a storybook sort of lilt to it, I suppose. For example, in the early game, I decided to spend a bunch of money on a giant beanstalk, and then I was able to send my hero up it, and when my hero completed the quest, it gave us access to a golden chicken coop that consumes grain and just poops out money. This Cyclops right here, I had a quest where I could be friends with him, or I could be enemies with him, and I could have just fought him, but I decided to make him my friend, and now he walks around town, and everybody that's near him gets a mood bonus just by being around him, and these various quests and events and things are going to pop up from time to time. For example, there's an Ent over here, or like a willow tree a la something like Zelda. By talking to him, I had a choice where I could kill him, and it would give me an amulet of regeneration for my hero, or I could be friends with him, and it makes all of my foresters and my lumber industry work faster and just gives me a flat buff that stays forever. You can see the buffs up here. I also hired a bunch of fawns to go and whisper to the woods, and so they're wandering around out there making all of my gathering faster for wood, but making it a little bit slower for stone, and that's been one of those things I've been trying to get over the top of over the course of the last X amount of gameplay. I made a bet with my brother that the kingdom I live in can gather more stone than his. I'm not really sure the point I was trying to make, but I don't want to be humiliated at my next family reunion. Gather 40 stone? We can probably do that. It looks like we're almost there. So when you get these little quests, you get a thing called nobility. Nobility is effectively a currency outside of gold that allows you to solve problems, so effectively you'll be too famous to be messed with. Or you can use it for trades and things of that nature to shore up stuff that you need in order to make your society function properly. It looks like my vegetables are not as high up this year as I had hoped they would be. The good news is we're filling in that surplus with other stuff, so it should be okay. How many fish did he bring back? He brought back 5 fish. I'm hoping we finish this off because I can't really take any penalties to my nobility right now. All of your little villagers do have names. They do have desires. They do have things that they want. Ooh, I've got a grape farm over here, huh? Grape farm would be kind of cool. I like the vino as much as the next guy. We could maybe get that rocking down this way. We may need a secondary granary, though, in order to make it effective. I don't know how my granaries are doing right now. Are they completely and totally capped out? They're not totally capped out. They're doing okay. We're converting our grain into flour, which then gets converted on into bread. Most of the things that you produce inside of this game, they give your peasants a certain baseline amount of satiation. And so, like, vegetables are the worst. They only give 10 hunger. You can convert your vegetables, though, into meat at pigsties. And that takes 40 vegetables. And it converts them, it takes 4 vegetables and converts them into 1 meat, and 1 meat gives you 70 hunger instead of the 40 you would have got from the vegetables in the first place. I don't know if there's any bonus for having a balanced diet or anything else like that while you play through the game. Hasn't really been pertinent so far, and so I haven't really looked into it altogether that hard. One thing that I do need, though, is I think we should probably get another sawmill going, because now that I have a military available, I'm starting to get the feeling that maybe it would be a really good idea to start building walls, and I'm going to need like an enormous amount of planks in order to get my walls done. The big thing... Oh, I failed it, huh? We didn't make it in time? Well, that's a bummer. I thought with the 5 batches that they were going to be bringing in, we'd be okay. Well, that's a bummer. In general, I've stopped taking a lot of these quests because they seem to be really difficult to fulfill a lot of the time, even if you've got your industry set up. Like, it seems like what they want sometimes is a little bit demanding, and so I think I've failed like the last 10 of them, even though my society is printing out products left and right like crazy. I haven't been taking them lately, which has been hurting my nobility, but maybe we'll get that sorted out later on. I do need to start courtship with another kingdom. I wanted to talk to her. I have to give her 20 planks to start our courtship. Yeah, let's do that. Let's start our courtship over here with Farah. She's the Tinker Princess, and so I'm kind of like curious about what buildings or like what goodies I'm going to be gifted by being friends with effectively the engineering kingdom, where they're all about clockwork and, you know, cogs and all that kind of stuff. Periodically, we'll get visitors, and if you have housing available for them, they will add on into your society. Yada, yada, yada. If you've done this before, you've seen this already here. It's just wrapped up inside really nice tinsel and really nice packaging. I've got a date, huh? Let's see what's going on with our date over here. Heartfelt thanks for the gift of planks. Your generosity fuels my industrial dreams. Gratefully, I envision the marvels that we will create together. Nice, dude. So we go ahead and knocked that one out as well, and it looks like it wants me to build a regenerator. Regenerate 100 resources using the regenerator, and then gift 30 coal. Okay, so what does a regenerator do? All stone and iron will regenerate a small amount of resources per day. This can stack. Interesting. Well, I've got this guy over here. I mean, I guess I could kind of plop it in right there in order to make it... Does it have a front? Let's put it right there. I've got foresters working down inside this area too, so I need to leave like some equitable space where they can replant all of the trees and things that they're harvesting. I had a big problem with my wood. I know. Go ahead and clip that. You can tell it to the entire kingdom. I had wood problems previously, and so I've been trying to solve that up, and it looks like we actually have a surplus now. There are rumors going around court that our fablings are lazy. We can assure you this is not true. Let us show the gossips what we can do. Gather 100 iron. Produce 100 planks, produce 50 bricks. I'm capped right now, so I have these things cut off at 75, and so I won't be able to pull that off before the job gets done, unfortunately. So we'll go ahead and bypass on that. As I said, pretty chill, laid-back game. There doesn't seem to be a penalty a lot of the time when you refuse to take the random quests and things that pop up. They're meant to be like a fun side objective that you can fiddle around with. By no means are they expected to be the end-all, be-all, like you can lose the game type deal when you start fiddling with it. Let's put in like a little veranda. We'll put in some trees over here. I think we can fit those on in. Can I get another tree in like right there? Yeah, let's beautify this place a little bit and make it a little bit nicer so that people like living there. Does the regenerator require workers? I don't know that it does. Regenerator, where were you at? Regenerator's right there. It does require a worker. All right, we'll put a little worker bee on into the regenerator so that this stone is getting a little bit filled back up every single day. It'll buy us some time. There's a limited amount of stuff on the map, so I'm interested to see that they actually provided you with replenishment options out there. We've got another event, so we can trade our stone bricks at a discount for fish. I'm kind of like solid on fish right now, so I don't think that I'm going to require that. At the archery grounds, trains your fablings into archers. A light-ranged unit. We also have a sword-fighting unit over here. Okay. Yeah, let's get a couple of swordsmen, I guess. And then we'll also get a couple of archers, because we're producing armaments anyways. So why not? We'll turn them on into cadets, and we'll see if they maybe form up on the hero or something like that. I don't really know how they're going to be helping us, but you can see them training over here. Does it? Oh, it does. It takes time to convert them on over. Gotcha. One thing that I have noticed about this game is that it plays very slowly. It looks like there's room on the UI. You've got ×3 speed, but compared to other games inside of the genre, this one plays at a snail's pace. If you leave it on standard, effectively nothing is ever going to get done, and your gameplay is going to be very, very long. And so, even on ×3, this is how fast the game plays. If you're not going to like that, and you don't like the more lackadaisical pace that the game has, it could use, in my opinion, a ×6 up here. They've got an extra room for it right there on their UI, so I would just add another button right there that allows you to go X6 on it, because the game does play at a slow pace. I think that's intentional. I think the game is trying to get you, like, soaked in and kind of marveling at the thing that you've built as you've been playing through the title. But that having been said, there have been these large doldrum periods as I'm playing the game where nothing's happening, and I've just built like another chunk of industry, and I'm waiting for that industry to become something as time goes along, and it takes like a year or two for it to get there. And so I've just left it playing while I like browse around on my phone. And I don't think that's a thing that you're gonna want your people to be doing while they're playing your title. Anytime your attention is drawn away from the game itself, there's a chance that that person's just gonna click away and go play something that's a little bit more intellectually riveting. It doesn't happen a lot, but whenever there's been like a big shortage, I've noticed that I build the solution out, and then I kind of walk away for a little bit and don't worry about it. And so I do think that the game could actually do with some more speed controls. Let's build down here. I don't know exactly what I want to build down here. I think we're kind of in the market for a little more farming, would be my guess. So I would say let's put a granary right there. We'll keep bringing on in more visitors. We don't have enough vegetables right now, which is what I'm watching at the moment. We have more than enough grain. We have more than enough food. I don't think there's any chance that we're going to starve during the winter, but we could probably use another farm over here, especially since this ground isn't really being used for anything. So I would say let's just get that in right there, and then we'll build it off. This game does function based on attachments and foundations, so each of these little houses that you get are going to be procedurally built. You never know what they're going to build in their backyard. Sometimes they have a doghouse, which raises their happiness. Sometimes they have a garden that allows them to satisfy a certain percentage of their food needs. Sometimes they have apiaries. Sometimes they have laundry out in the back, which as far as I can tell doesn't do anything. They will leave you with extra little slots, though, that you can decorate. So, for example, I could put a little tree right there in that guy's backyard if I wanted to do so. I think I also didn't assign anybody over there to take care of the tavern while we're in the neighborhood. How's our well water looking? Our well water's looking okay? All right. Everybody's got everything supplied that they need to have. Times have been hard, but we've tried our best to put food on the table, but we're out of options. We heard of your good heart and decided to swallow our pride and come here to beg you to help us. 60 vegetables and 20 bread. We can go 10 pork and 50 bread. Let's go ahead and postpone it because I'm waiting for the bread to stack up to an extent that we can actually make that happen. I've got bakeries and things right now, but they're not working super rapidly. I have had a problem with conversion rates inside the game where it takes a ton of mills to get enough flour. It takes a ton of bakeries to like utilize that flour. I could probably do with another mill, in all honesty. This guy's like trying to mill stuff over here, but it's not going altogether that great. I'm guessing because the granary is a little bit too far away. It actually doesn't look like we have any grain stored over there. So the chicken coop is using up some of the grain in order to produce eggs. It may be time for us to, like, increase the amount of grain that we have coming in. Because this guy, well, he's milling right now. I think he's just having to walk a long ways in order to go get the milling supplies that he needs. You do want to pay attention to transit in this game. Oh, we've got sword fighters. Nice. So it looks like we've got our first little battalions. Okay, where do they go to? Do they just, like, hang out on this end? Yeah, there they are right there. So we've got, like, a little battalion. Let's muster them and see what happens over here. Bring all them over. It looks like my last archer isn't quite ready to go. I do think the game could also use a nice little dollop of automation. So, for example, every time you build a building, you need to assign workers to it. As far as I can tell, if the worker dies for whatever reason, as a result of plague or as a result of whatever else, they do get automatically replenished. However, that being observed, you do have to manually assign workers to every single building when you place it down. Whereas ideally what I would like to see is that it just grabs the closest workers by default and sucks them on into that workplace. It would save you a whole lot of clicks. I do have the thing right here that they wanted, so there we go. We'll turn that in so that we get a little bit of nobility. I'm going to bring in a few more commoners. We're growing vegetables over here, but it's going to take a little while for the workers to get it built. So we'll keep an eye on it for the moment, but no guarantees that that's going to be figured out anytime soon. All right, the farm's done, so we'll assign our workers on over and into it. This should give us another supply of vegetables coming in on this side, because I've noticed a couple of our production chains are reliant on having a lot of vegetables in stock, and we can't really forbid people to eat the vegetables and force them to eat the pork and force them to eat the fish. So I've just got to basically make it so that I have a ridiculous surplus all the time. We would want to organize a blacksmith competition, but armaments are expensive to produce. Could you please help us sponsor the competition? It's 30 days to produce 8? I don't know how fast this produces, like on a daily basis. They do have the things they need to produce armaments, but unfortunately, I would need to take a look. So once that's there, you can't postpone every single event that pops up. I would need to take a look at my overview menu. You do have statistical regressions and whatnot you can play around with. If you're trying to figure out what you're producing versus what you have, it looks like they produce 15 armaments. It looks like they produced about 45 armaments for the last 30 days, so we probably could have banged that out, but that was just information that I didn't have available to me until right now when I decided to look it up, so I was trying to do the numbers in my head, but unfortunately the math was off. Did my miller die? Why did that mill have nobody working in it? We definitely want to have people working inside of that mill. There are other little flavor buildings that you can play around with too, like the Arena of Trials. This will summon a bunch of enemies. I don't know what happens when you get to the 7th wave. I honestly have no clue. I assume something good happens when you get to that wave, but I haven't got there just yet. We'll probably try to spawn one so that you can see what the combat looks like before we get on out of here. The combat in this game is purely like RTS based. So you just rubber band box guys, and then once you have them rubber band boxed, you like send them where you want them to go. So over here you can see that we've got our swordsman and we've got our hero Mustard. I've got my hero down here in the lumber fields right now because your hero provides a passive bonus to everybody around him for carrying capacity, actually. So if you have an industry that's struggling, not due to output, but due to actual logistics that are carrying things around, plop your hero in the middle of it. He gives them a 10% boost on what they can carry per level that he gets, and he's about to hit level 5. And 40% carrying capacity is actually fairly considerable. When you consider that most of your villagers can carry like 5 or 10 things, it allows them to get a lot more effective if you just plop him in a trouble area where your industry is having trouble keeping up. And it looks like we fixed our vegetable supply problem with this farm over here. Worst comes to worst, I'll reappropriate it into grain, and we'll turn it into a grain field instead. Another event popped up right here. Your Grace, we recently left our own realm due to the horrible conditions we were forced to live in. We're hoping to settle here with you. However, we could use some coin to help us get started. Sure. I mean, I'm swimming in cash right now. Like I said, the game doesn't really press up on you or stress you out. It's a pretty laid-back city builder. There haven't really been any threats so far, and most of the threats that have arrived are threats that I personally spawned myself. It seems to really be like play at your own pace. Oh, if you have a mustering spot, it looks like they automatically go to it when they're finished training. Cool. All right, well, let's kick off a combat over here. Let's fight in the arena. Let's see what the arena's got for us. We'll move these guys over to this side, and we'll see if we can handle a little bit of mortal combat against the denizens of the undead. With the 1.0 screenshots, I have seen sieges and things inside of the screenshots, but at a certain point, I'm like 6 or 7 hours on into the game, and I haven't seen it yet. And in my opinion, we might as well just make this into an impressions video rather than, you know, something like a full-on review. So we lost a little guy right there. Looks like my warriors are doing okay, though. It looks like they busted through to go after my archers, however. So we may want to keep the archers separate from the main battle force. Do these guys regenerate all by their lonesome? They do indeed. I just saw the meter tick on up. All right. Good to know. Wow, we're really full up on wood right now. Is there anything I can do with all that wood? I've got so much wood. I guess I can expand and build a little bit. But this area is going to be all industrial pretty soon, which makes me worried about expanding out that direction because people get cranky when there's industry all around the areas that they live in, so I don't really want to exploit that. Down and in this area, though, we do still have well coverage on that side, so it might be worth it to plop in a few more peasant houses over here. A few more villagers, and we're going to unlock the next tier of buildings. We also have a pig farm over here. Like, we've got pigs available on this side. There are going to be little focal points of interest that you can play around with that you can send your hero off to go investigate. Witches' huts. You'll find old ruins. You will find, dilapidated castles and things of that nature. I haven't had any bad things happen when I interact with these so far. I did have one that was a witch's hut where she converted all of my villagers into skeletons, which doubled their food consumption for 1 year. And if you didn't do that, she put a curse on you occasionally that had the same effect for like 10 or 15 days. But if you lasted the 90 days or the 120 days or whatever it was that she turns everybody into skeletons, she's gone for good. And then from there, one thing that I didn't expect is when everybody got converted into skeletons, it changed the music, and there was kind of like this purple miasma over my entire city. This is definitely a game that has taken a look at the details and has tried to make each of its events interesting in one way or another, just thematically. Broken graves, cobwebs, and statues. This place looks abandoned. At the center is a half-ruined structure, and inside is a small bowl full of items. Could they be used to honor the dead? So we can start a combat down here, or we can honor the dead. It looks like we've actually got a lighthouse as our reward right there. I don't know what the lighthouse does. We can take a look at it. Is it like a beautification building? It looks like it is, and it looks like it just beautifies the area, so it's kind of like a wonder, I suppose, that makes everybody else happy. I don't think we're going to need a lighthouse, so I guess we can put it right there. Although it might not be the worst idea if we were planning on expanding our housing down this way. We could put it down here. It's very expensive, though. We can get some more peasants right now, and I don't think we're hurting for food at the moment, although I do have a lot of unemployeds. Let's put people back on training. I'm going to focus on martial warriors for right now because the archers seem like they got ran up on pretty quick. And in the meantime, it looks like we're pretty good on boards right now, so I did want to start building fortifications around the city as well. So that's going to cost us 25 right there. Pricey. Put that in right there. And we'll just start running it down that way. I get the feeling that finishing my city walls is going to be like one of those big objectives that it wants you to complete over the long term. The good news is we have kind of a choke over here that we can put. Well, that hillside might be an issue. I don't know if it's actually going to be passable or not. Over here, it should be easy because I'm just going to choke this off right here. And I don't think they have access to the top of this rise from this side. So this actual mountain mesa right here should act as like a natural barrier towards invaders or anybody that wants to attack us. My childhood friend can talk to flying pigs. It's cute, but she overdoes it. Now she has way too many pigs at her house. Are you interested in some of them? Yeah, I guess you can spawn some pigs somewhere. I was planning on exploiting these pigs pretty soon, but the pig farms, they let off a stink. Like they've got like a little stink cloud around them that can make things a little bit complex. So we'll have that connect over to there. I do need to upgrade that road while we're in the neighborhood. It looks like we're finally processing our grain and getting a bread surplus by building up the mill, so that's good. I don't think this guy gives anybody happiness or anything else like that by just being in the area, but this is a pretty solid city builder, dude. If you like Kingdom survival games and you're looking for one that has kind of a Fable-esque Molyneux charm to it, this is definitely that game. My only complaints about it are that the pacing is quite slow. It could use some more speed controls. And then from there, I think that auto-assigning workers to buildings, if you have them in surplus, even if it's with a little check mark on each building that you've got to go through and say auto-populate, would be a really good idea just to streamline some of the clicky-clicky business that the game has going on. Other than that, though, this is a really solid entry to the genre, and it's easy to recommend. I've got ballistas and cannons and mortars now, so that's pretty cool. I got attacked by a dragon earlier, but I couldn't do anything about it. And he just kind of like dookied on my face until, oh, there's a dragon right there. Speaking of which, a dragon has entered the realm. I need to can I put like a ballista up on the hill over here somewhere? I don't see it inside of my fortification options. Like we've got stone walls. I don't see it inside my military buildings either along all tiers. And so I don't know exactly where the cannons and the mortars and everything else are at. They're not listed as unavailable right now, but they gotta be around somewhere. My lord, the dragon is here. Needless to say, the Fablings are terrified of the massive creature. We suggest you give it what it wants so it'll leave us in peace. Ballistas can shoot at it, but it's going to take a lot for it to run away. It just wants 500 bucks. Me too. I'll just pay him what he wants and leaves because I can't find what it is that I'm trying to build over here anyways. I can't seem to find it inside any of the buildings. It's not listed, so I'm guessing I'm missing something that, like, produces it, and then maybe I deploy it or something else like that. It's kind of hard to say. I've got all my military barracks over here for my little guys. But yeah, it's an easy recommend if you're looking for a chill, laid-back experience that's got a very nice art style and suffers from some pacing issues. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, we were fooling around with a little bit of Fabledom in its final stretch. It's hit 1.0. Hopefully it gets a little bit more support. I'd like to see a little bit more depth to the gameplay. Coming up on like 6 or 7 hours of playing the game now, and I'm almost out the back end. I'm starting to wonder how many more tiers there's going to be as we go forward, but I definitely have still not done everything. There's still little interactable buildings and things of that nature to play around with. There's like a cave that produces wealth, but it makes it so you get attacked by cyclopses or something like that. I haven't like gotten that all taken care of because money hasn't been an issue. Like, I've never had a shortage of cash the entire game. What I don't have is nobility, but I have loads and loads of money. I will see you all later, though. Thanks for hanging out, and that's about all I got for you. Bye, folks.